Wepa, what's going on, mi gentes? This is Parada's Take, episode 2, the Eagles past and updates. And thank you so much for guys for joining me. This is going to be a great segment. I can't wait. I got so much passion right now about this. I can talk about this all day, but you know, let's get straight into this. I love the Eagles, I bleed green, but my history, going back to it, I love the Eagles since they drafted Donovan McNabb. I'm not sure what that year that was. I believe that was probably 1999 or something like 1998. But I absolutely loved the Eagles. And I know people are like, man, well, that was 1998. Where were you before? And I'm still am a Raiders fan. Um, Very part-time-ish because they have not been good for a while and they've made some stupid moves. But, I was a Raiders fan. And just to give you guys a little bit of history, I'm obviously like 42 years old. So going back, I had a regular Nintendo. And yes, I played a very popular Nintendo game called Tecmo Super Bowl. And that game had one of the best, top two running backs in the game, Bo Jackson. And that was my guy. And I played him constantly all the time with Raiders. That's why I was just so excited to like play him and play against my cousins, Ray and Hector, whenever we used to play Nintendo games. And we used to do the simulations, see who got into the playoffs, and then we'll play each other possibly in the Super Bowl. And obviously, my cousin Hector had the 49ers. That was his favorite team, and he would whip my butt. And that's how it normally ended. But Ray and Hector, you go back and forth. But I think Ray liked the Patriots and he also liked the Cincinnati Bengals. He was always back for it. So that's how my history went between having the Raiders and then, seemingly wanting to find another team that was a little bit, or both teams, which is, I heard was controversial. You're not supposed to have both two teams, but I have two teams, Raiders and the Eagles, more so the Eagles, because they're a local team. And, I decided, why not? Right? I can make this inside. I'm a big boy, right? So, I love the Eagles through all their struggles, through all their quarterback decisions, to Andy Reid, to the defensive coordinators. All those words is part of my history of learning about Jimmy Johnson. Um, he was a defensive coordinator then, or Jim Johnson, um, amazing Buddy Ryan when he was there. Then the Coach Reed, what was going on there before he, went down. That is pretty much my history in the Eagles, and just wanted to share that with you. A little background information on how long I've been an Eagles fan, and this is why I'm making this segment, and I'm making this podcast because of it. So that's a little bit of my history. So just getting straight into the updates right now. I wrote a post about AJ Brown, and I hope you guys saw it. Like, and my thoughts about AJ Brown. Let's get straight into it. I'm talking about AJ Brown trade. I'm talking about Jalen Hurts. I got something written down. Jalen Hurts leadership apparently being questioned. A bit of the draft, because I got some draft things I would like to go into. And then the new stadium, which I was researching about that, and it's actually pretty interesting how the stadium thing is working out. So, first, straight into the AJ Brown trade. They're not trading AJ Brown. Let's be very clear. Like, they're not trading him, right? I know you guys want to trade him. I know this media wants this clickbait. They're not trading this guy. He's an amazing player. And let me tell you, a lot of people complain about their jobs. A lot of people talk shit on their jobs. That's okay. They sucked. Kevin Patula sucked. And everybody else knew it. And so many broadcasters was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna take care of it. He's gonna make sure everything's okay." He didn't. By week 4, we knew. By week 4, I was screaming like, he does not know what he's doing. I mean, if I was in that position, I wouldn't really know what I was doing either. But he's making millions of dollars, I think, to be in that position. So why doesn't he know what he's doing? This is the basic, simple facts. Like I know a lot about football. I've watched football. I kind of know the tendencies of it. I don't know the X's and O's of it. Cover two, the Tampa Tampa coverage, cover three, those things like that. I honestly don't know any of those things. I just know like tendencies. I know patterns. I know, who's getting beat off the ball. I know like what they should be doing with what little a post route. And God forgive me, please, no more hitch routes. Kevin Patula, geez, if you want to know the king of hitch routes, that's this guy. But I definitely have that underground and like balance of it. I'll be like, I know what I'm doing. If I ever went into that field, and I would love to go in that field. Trust me, if I can be under Howie Roseman's, wing, I would die happy. Let me tell you like that, and become my own GM of my own team. That'd be amazing because I know he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But let me be quite honest with you. Like, I know I went a little bit on a rant there, but they're not trading AJ Brown. There's the cap hit. There's his relationship with Jalen Hurts. Just the media stirring up stuff. That's it. That's it. They just want that. There's so many other players doing way worse things. And you got Xavier Worthy. Just talking about this, the Chiefs itself. Xavier Worthy doing what he did. Rashid Rice. I think he just got hurt. I don't think he did anything stupid. But did he? You know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many other players that are doing really stupid things, and yet AJ Brown's the one that's like, he's toxic. Like, please, reading the sideline, a book on the sidelines. No, talking shit. No, that does not count. Get too excited here. So then, like, they're not going to get rid of him. Honestly, they're not going to get rid of him. It's something they did with Hassan Reddick, and I think that's what the media is doing, trying to get clickbaits, trying to make sure that they get the downfall of the Eagles by taking away one of their weapons. Trying to bury them from within, and that's pretty much, I feel like, what's happening. AJ Brown is an amazing player. He's I'm sure he's an amazing person. I mean, if your job sucked, wouldn't you? I mean, God damn it. I got in trouble already by HR from what I post. So I gotta stay clear of that. But like, I'm not getting fired over it. I won't get traded over it. I mean, you can't trade teachers, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not trading him. And that's the kind of silly stuff I hear about that. His cap hit, he's very successful here in this system. And Kevin Patula sucked. And this has been happening with Brian Johnson as well. And so I just feel as though like they're not going to trade him. If they're ever going to trade him, if we win one more Super Bowl. If we win one more Super Bowl and the cap hit isn't that low, then yeah, I can see something like that, especially if there's a team who really sucks and we can get a better team. Then yeah, but winning one more Super Bowl, allowing him to like go off as a two-time Super Bowl champion would be great because we need him at that. But if we can get somebody else in there about a year or two later, then that is completely fine. Honestly. I just want to get that out the way because that was some silly stuff right there. Now, going into like, I'm hearing now about Jalen Hurts leadership. Are you kidding me? This guy is a leader. This guy led them to the Super Bowl. This guy led them to two Super Bowls. He could have won the other Super Bowl if they didn't punt it incorrectly or James Barry didn't slightly hold the Chiefs receiver. I forgot um Mixture or some shit like that. I don't know his fucking name. Um, but if he didn't hold him, that would have been an amazing ending to the Super Bowl. And that's just crazy that this is going on, that they don't want to question him and bury them from within. Like I said, they did that to Hassan Reddick, just going on to that and talking about their contract negotiations, always worried about what he's doing. Now he had to think about it. Oh man, I am getting underpaid. But you're in your home city and you're doing your thing here. Now what? Now what happened to him? He went to the where did he go? He was um chasing sacks and he ended up in the Jets, and then he ended up with the Bucks, and then he's just bouncing around everywhere. Like, bro, as long as you're happy, it is what it is. But definitely not something that I would say he made the right choice on. You know what I mean? That's his life. He can do whatever he wants with it. But geez, bro, I stay with the Eagles, make your money, win your Super Bowls, do what you gotta do, bro. You were amazing talent, and fortunately, he did what you had to do. And he's from Camden. He's from where I'm from. So it's like, bro, gotta be humble in your own ways. Um, so knowing Jalen Hurts' leadership, knowing where he came from, knowing how humble he is, and I guess how stoic he is, they don't think that's the right bet. But it is. It is. It's what we need. What we, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be like Patrick Mahomes. You need to be like everybody else. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like, how are you expected to act? You act the way you want to act. You act the way you have to act. You act the way you're needed to act. But it has to be genuine as well. So when you're a leader, you have to do things sometimes you don't want to do. And you got to be sometimes the person you need to be in that situation. So that's why I think personally Jalen Hurts will be fine. That team will be fine. They work for him, they play for him, they ride or die with him. So ain't no way that's going down. Let me tell you that much. So let's just get that off the record. They're not trading AJ Brown, and they're definitely not getting rid of Jalen Hurts. I mean, we win a few more Super Bowls, and he's just going downhill. Then, man, that's a huge difference. That's way in the future. That's like, let's say, 3 years into the future. That's not now at all. You know what I'm saying? He's very successful, one of the most successful Eagles quarterbacks in history. Let's get that straight. So I know I've been bouncing around here and there. And I may have to pause this because my battery's dying, so I'm gonna have to switch something off. You know what I'm saying? Um, but going into the next phase, which would be the draft. The draft is actually is something that I absolutely love. I'm not sure if you guys know if you guys ever done this before, but I used to just play Madden or I used to play NCAA football just to recruit and just to do the draft. And that's how I would do things. Well, especially like after the season's over, you would scout and stuff like that and you do the draft. I loved that. I absolutely loved it. Like I would be like, oh my God, like when am I like when is the draft going to be? How can I scout? I used to trade my players for first round picks. And I used to scout who's going to be a terrible team and get into it. And so I was like, I would love to be a GM. I would love to make those decisions, trades, getting my players, like just being super excited, working with a whole team of experts just telling me who to pick, who not to pick, picking up the phone. Ah, that would be amazing. So I was scouting a couple people, and I think we are gonna go safety first. I think we're gonna solidify that defense, and we're gonna keep Mr. Vic Fangio very happy. And we have to make him happy because we want him here for the long run. He's gonna as he said he's gonna coach until it's not fun anymore. So I want to make sure like he does what he needs to do to stay in here. So I'm gonna pause it right now just so I can get a charger because this is dying right now. Hold on. And we are back. So sorry, I had to just charge my device, but now we're back. So just talking about the draft. Absolutely love the draft. I love drafting players. Even fantasy football. I love playing fantasy football. It's something that I enjoy, even though I lose. I only won once out of like the 10 times I've ever played. So not a good investment, by the way. But when we talk about the Eagles, I feel like there's a certain need. And I know everyone's been saying it, but I just want to get it out there because I love like just expressing this out. They're going safety first. And I've written a couple notes down. Safety is going to be absolutely first. Keep Vic Fangio happy. And there are three prospects I feel like is going to be really good. And obviously, there's some that are completely obvious. One, Caleb Downs from Alabama. He has elite instincts and he's a complete ball hawk. He's going to start day one. He's going to fix that safety spot immediately. Reed Blankenship was a mistake to get rid of. Honestly, he didn't get paid that much. I don't know why he would go to Houston anyway for that much, and especially if there's a qualifying offer. But it is what it is, and I don't think there was a qualifying offer, but we still could have gotten him in. Two, it was Javon Bullard. He's from Georgia, and you know how he loves his Georgia men. So he's physical and he is also tested with like elite oppositions. So he's playoff tested. You know what I'm saying? He's also has big name mentality, big game mentality, which is what Eagles love. Blah, get my tongue tied. The last one I have written down here is Kamari Lat. If I'm gonna chop this up, Lassiter. Kamari Lassiter. There you go. And he's a QB slash safety hybrid. And that is very important because he's like another Cooper DeJean. And that's amazing. So in case we need have Marcus Epps in there, we can put him down. We can bring him down into the slot or into the if they go four wide. I think we would beast it out with him just as well. But I feel like we got everything covered right there when it comes to that. But in case we want to go nickel or dime, we would be amazing. So he can move around. Little notes I have here. He's a very versatile piece. He fits in the flexibility of the secondary. So if someone does go down, um, like Cooper DeJean or like Quinyon Mitchell or like our new addition to cornerback, we're going to be fine. So I feel like safety will be the first pick of 23. And if we can get Caleb Downs, I don't know if we'll trade down, but if we can get to Caleb Downs, that would be amazing. Our next one we're going to get to is offensive lineman. We need an offensive lineman. I know Fred Johnson's there. I'm not sure how old he is, but Fred Johnson just he makes a lot of mistakes. And we had a complete weird situation with the offensive line last year. That's the reason why, with the injuries to Landon Dickerson, the injuries to, are the man, my brain is going left and right. But, Landon Dickerson, um, Cam, Cam Johnson, I forgot their names already. My brain is like, is really late. But our offensive line needs help, a lot of help. And so I'm looking at it like there's three of them that I would love for us to get. There's one called Amaris Mims, and he's from Georgia. We love our Georgia men, and he has huge upside. He's a Lane Johnson replacement, but we might need to trade up for him if that happens. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what can happen? The second one is Kingsley, and I'm going to chop this up. Suwa Mataya. And that guy, he's he's pretty strong. He's athletic and he's a great pass protector, which what we need, especially if we want to like make our wide receivers happy. And he's a good development. I think he'd be a good development piece, especially if we have him in the background. Just learning from Lane, learning from our other offensive linemen. And then our last one, which I didn't see coming, but he's definitely coming in. Is called Patrick Paul from Houston. That guy, from reading my notes down, he's long, powerful, and has a high ceiling. He just needs to be polished, so maybe a year or two underneath our offensive line. I wish we had Stoutland, but he's gonna do really good. I feel like those two guys are definitely like it's gonna make sense. Safety is for immediately need. Our offensive linemen to protect our future, especially if one of our offensive linemen wants to retire. Um, so I feel like if everything falls right with us, we'll have Caleb Downs in round one and Marius and Mims in round two. This fixes the defense and offensive line. I feel like that'd be the best bet. So just breaking it down on how I feel about that. In the later rounds, I feel like we're gonna do like defensive end and tight end. I feel like after Jordan Phillips left, it definitely created a little bit of a hole. And we always want depth there, and we just signed Jalen Carter. I mean, not Jalen Carter. We're gonna sign Jalen Carter to a new deal, maybe within the upcoming months or next year. We can still wait for him till next year. However, that defense is going to get expensive, so we have to get some prizes in the some gold, some diamonds in the defensive part that we keep replacing. So hopefully Vic Fangio can say to start molding these guys. Um, Last, like, just trying to like wind down what we really need to get into. Because I just wanted to go over the first two. I feel like we're gonna go off safety, offensive line, defensive end, and then tight end. I feel like we need somebody within the first four rounds that's gonna like take over when Goddard leaves or he retires or whatever it is. He won us one more Super Bowl this year. I'm sure he's gonna call him like, yo, I have to go somewhere else and make my money, make my bag. But I already made my Super Bowls with this team. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I feel like that's gonna be the case. He's one of the best off tight ends. He doesn't block as well, but that's why we got Munt. I think we got Munt or something like that. I forgot his name. That tight end is a really good blocker. So, um, That is, I was all over the place with it, and I hope you understand. Like when I'm talking about football, I get really excited and I forget to stay on topic. So that's my bad. Last but not least, is the stadium talking. I'll keep this very short. The stadium was built in like 2003, if I'm not mistaken, and I can understand why we need a new stadium. I honestly can understand it. I mean, the taxpayers are going to pay for it, so what does he care about building a new stadium? He got his first stadium built the same way, so why not? Um, it's only like 20 years old, and that's young in stadium years. And I don't care if other teams got a new stadium. We're the oldest stadium. Who cares? We're the most successful, one of the most top three or top two most successful franchises in the last 20 years. So who cares if as long as the stadium's upkept, we should be worried about winning. We shouldn't be worried about the stadium. But I understand why, and looking at the on the other side of it. You know, he wants Super Bowls here. He wants Final Fours there. He wants, I mean, and that's gonna rack in so many like other revenue streams. I remember looking at it and I was asking ChatGPT, I was like, hey, like, why doesn't Philly have a Super Bowl? Like, why can't we have a Super Bowl here? I know they had one in New York one time when I think it was the Seattle Seahawks faced the Broncos, which was demolishing. What they said is because you play outdoors, you have to make sure that the temperatures within these spaces, and make sure you have hotels, and make sure you have a possible dome if the temperatures don't go as low as whatever it goes. And that just like, and that was the key part. It hits every point except for the weather, and except for it being a dome. I know they did it in New York, and I'm not sure why they did that, but I'm sure they're never going to do that again. As you can see, the next Super Bowls are going to be in SoFi Stadium with the Rams. I'm sure the Rams want to go back to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl again. I think it's going to be the next one's going to be, I think, in Arizona. No, not Arizona. I think it's Vegas or something like that, or New Orleans or something like that. And then it's going to go back to Vegas again within that span. I got to look at it again to see what it looks like. But it's definitely like going to stay in warm weather areas. And I don't even want to talk about Arizona and their slippery ass field. That was crazy when the Eagles played the Chiefs. I call shenanigans there. But like I don't think they need to use any more taxpayer money than that the Philly can afford. I mean, last I checked, I mean, I heard the schools are on the come up here and there, but before that, Jesus, like the schools there were terrible out there. And I mean, I know you have really good schools that are coming out there that are coming up, but I heard Philly schools were just hardcore. It was just hard. And like, who wants to work there? Who wants to work with some of these kids who are just tough? And sometimes you got to be tough, but then sometimes it's like, man, so let's put some taxpayer money into that and not into Eagle Stadium. Let's put it into teachers. Let's put it into remediation. Let's put it into psychologists. Let's put it into quality people coming in there and helping these kids out because stuff be going down. Anyway, I'm getting too far off of that. But I heard they're not even going to stay in South Philly, or they're going to move. So they're not even going to be there. So what they going to call them then if they're not in the Philly area? Like the Ben Salem Eagles or something like that? The Conshohocken Eagles? The King of Prussia Eagles, maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. But I mean, you probably, and I don't know much about Pennsylvania or anything in their like little counties and stuff like that, but I'm sure all those are still in Philly, the city of Philadelphia. I wouldn't know anyway. I mean, I should have researched that before doing the podcast. That'd be a good idea, right? But so are they going to change their name? I don't think they should be using. They have better use of taxpayer money than that, and taxpayers should not be actually funding that. I know they won a Super Bowl, but I don't think so. Maybe a retractable. Why can't they just put a retractable roof over that? You know what I'm saying? Why can't they do that? That'd be easier. Just build a retractable roof, and we'll be fine. There's a way to do it. Close it up. Anyway, we talked about a lot today. We talked about the history of the Eagles. We talked about AJ Brown's situation. We're not trading him. We talked about Jalen Hurts' leadership. Undoubtedly, should never be questioned at all. We talked about the draft and the top 6 players I think we should be picking in the draft to make ourselves better suited for the future. And then the stadium, Eagle Stadium, that there is no point of it. I mean? We can definitely live without it for another 10, 15. I think it's like 6 years they got on the lease, so they got a lot to think about. But like, bro, we're okay. Let's go about 40 years. Let's win a couple more Super Bowls, you know what I'm saying? Before we start like trying to build our own new stadium after new, you know what I'm saying? In my lifetime, I had 2 stadiums, Veteran Stadium and now the Lincoln Financial. And it's still Lincoln Financial. Other teams, they sometimes change names depending on the lease and who is sponsoring them. But just stay Lincoln Financial, please. Let's have some type of continuity. Right now we have 20 years. Let's go 20 more. And you know what I mean? We don't all have to suffer because you want this dome and you want a Super Bowl and Final Fours and you know that's all. So just closing it out. That is just something that I just wanted to talk about. That is my take about the Eagles, and I'm very passionate about it, and I can go toe to toe with somebody if need be. You know what I'm saying? But thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked this segment. Please like if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Please share. Please comment below. I'm gonna have this on Spotify. I'm gonna have this on YouTube, and I had it on my Instagram. Prada's Take. Peace out. Capicool.